firstdropmusic.com.
Welcome back to From the First Drop Podcast. My name is Bear Cole. On this podcast, we talk about what it's like to be a musician. We give tips for independent musicians, DJs, but we've also got some stuff for music fans as well. So today, we're actually going to be listening to a song that I wrote myself, and I'm going to be telling you a little bit about where the idea for the song came from. It's a song that I released under my artist name, Bear the Astronaut. That's Astronot. The name of the song is Sagebrush. And the reason I thought this would be a cool one to go over is that I just think that it is not only kind of a cool songwriting example, but it's also a mix of hip-hop, trap, and Native American flutes, and something I was really trying to capture the sound of the Southwest. I've lived in Arizona my entire life. I actually grew up in the Grand Canyon National Park and currently live in Flagstaff, Arizona. And there's just a huge Southwest and Native American influence in the area where I grew up and where I'm from. And I wanted to showcase that in the production and the story a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and just play the song for you guys. We're going to listen to the whole song. I'm going to play the whole thing here. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory about how I wrote it, how I produced it, and what I was kind of going for with the song. So I hope that you guys enjoy it. I thank you for listening to it if you haven't already heard it. And if you have, enjoy it. And then I can give you some information you probably didn't even know about the writing process for Sagebrush by myself, Bear the Astronaut. Check it out.
Stop and start with the flower petals where the juniper stops and starts up the pine. I know that trail is long, but that girl, she has to be mine. Sagebrush, cause I love that girl just that much. There's many more miles of dust. I can already feel her touch. I put on some miles, I wore down these shoes. Seen places where the trail doesn't go when the ocean is blue. I put on some miles, I wore down these shoes. Seen places where there are no roads and still I come home to you. Sagebrush, cause I love that girl just that much. There's many more miles of dust. I can already feel her touch. The deserts have scorching heat, the mountains are frozen deep, the canyons are loose and steep. I see her face in the stars before I sleep. I see her face in the stars before I go to sleep. Sagebrush, dust. Sagebrush, dust. Sagebrush, dust. Sagebrush, dust. Water is scarce, the weather is fierce. The wind burns my face and teams up with the sun. Breathe heavier and heavier, all this dust in my lungs. I can smell her hair and I know this has to be done. Sagebrush, dust. Sagebrush, dust. Sagebrush, dust. Sagebrush, dust. Cactus gives way to the brush they call sage. Juniper on my mind leads straight to the pines. Mountain rose and dipping wine, that's where my love I will find. She has warm water to pour, so I leave my books by the door. Sagebrush, cause I love that girl just that much. There's many more miles of dust. I can already feel her touch. but our time has run thin. Gotta keep the income coming in. Back to work for the mines, then I make this trip once again. Sagebrush, cause I love that girl just that much. There's many more miles of dust. I can already feel her touch.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for listening to that song called Sagebrush. If you guys liked it, it is available all over the place. It's actually on an album that I released called Grand Canyon. And so check that out. Bear the Astronaut album's called Grand Canyon. Name of the song is Sagebrush. I was really trying to capture a story about the Southwest and also the sound of the Southwest. I don't feel like a lot of hip-hop artists have done a really good job of doing that. Where I'm from, there's actually a big Native American influence, but also a country influence. There's also just a lot of wide open spaces. And I live at almost 7,000 feet way up in the trees. And when I lived in Grand Canyon National Park, we had tons of snow every year. So Arizona isn't just what everybody thinks about. There's actually tons of diversity in the different elevations and landscapes. And I try to capture that in the song. So sometimes the writing process is way more interesting than you can ever portray when you're just releasing a song. And so this song, I think, really encapsulates that. So I want to tell you a little bit about the story of how I came to write it. So right after our son was born, my wife and I was living in Tucson at the time, and she had moved back into the Phoenix area. Still pretty close, but with the vehicle that we had and everything, I wasn't able to see her for a little while, and it was rough. I couldn't see my son and I couldn't see her, and I remembered that feeling of I was just working. I had put in my 2 weeks at the job I was at, and I was just trying to get to work every day, get it done so I could get back to my family, basically. And I was going to be moving back into the Phoenix area with them. And I just remembered that feeling of what it was like to be separated from them and having to go to work every day, but knowing I was doing it to try to support my family, right? So I had that feeling. This was actually years and years later after that. And I was writing songs for the Grand Canyon album or that project. And we were going into Chandler, Arizona, and my wife's parents actually live on a street called Sagebrush, or you turn on a street called Sagebrush to get to their house. And I had been kind of thinking about that while I was driving. It was about a 3-hour drive that I had done to get into Chandler, and I saw that sign, just the street sign that said Sagebrush. Turned in, got to her parents' house, and at the time that we had been separated years and years past, and I say only separated by distance, right? I was just trying to get done with work so I could come back to live with them. We had stayed at her parents' that very house for a little while when we first got into Phoenix before we could get out and get our own place. So it just, all those memories started coming back to me, and that sign, Sagebrush, started coming back to me. And so I sat down. I was actually wrote and produced the whole beat while I was at her parents' house. They had some stuff that they had to go do, and I sat there on my laptop and just kind of worked through the beat for that song. And so I kind of took a guitar part, and you can hear the guitar part on there, and I hacked it. So it had like that walking feeling to it, like you were just walking, and it was really kind of slowed down. And then I got a little bit of that trap beat and those sprinkler hi-hats and everything on there, which I thought was cool. It was a juxtaposition of, kind of the really organic Southwest kind of feel I was going for. by adding those kind of trappy drums to it. And then, got that big old 808 in there. And then I was actually just playing around with some Native American flute samples that I had. I used to have all these records and vinyl that I had dug up that were recordings, original recordings from the different reservations all around where I grew up. And I found some samples that I had chopped up and that I really liked. And just a really good flute sound. I thought it was really awesome the way that it sounds super organic and real. So wrote that flute part, and I was just really happy with it. So now I had that driving, walking kind of sound. I had the Native American flute kind of feel on it. I had the really kind of Arizona Southwest feel, I thought, but it was still a hip hop track. And I wanted to do something that wasn't very hip hop to it, and just do, something that was more of a songwriter kind of song. And so just that walking, I started thinking about it. When I was down in Tucson, I lived really close to the border of Mexico. And then I would drive all the time to come to band practice or come see my wife and my son, and just that drive through the desert, right? But then the drive I had just made down through the other part of Arizona, you go through so many different elevations and so many different kinds of vegetation and terrain and all of that. I started getting that idea of a man walking to go to be with his lover. He's been working in the mines, which was a huge part of most of the towns in southern Arizona that were near the border. There was a lot of mining towns. And probably Bisbee was the main one that I had in mind when I was writing the song, because that is where my father-in-law actually grew up. He lived there for quite a while when he was growing up. Big mining area. So there's this guy working in the mines. He's separated from his loved one. He only gets to see her every once in a while. But to get to her, he has to walk through all that different terrain of the state that I love, which is Arizona. So that, once you get to the middle kind of high desert of Arizona and you get out of the low desert of Tucson and Phoenix and everything, you get into the high desert, there's a whole bunch of kind of sagebrush and juniper, and it's really kind of a different terrain when you get to that high desert. I was thinking of that and the dust that you would be walking through in the trail and everything like that, just trying to get to go see, his woman. So all of that vision was coming in my head when I was writing it, and what it would be like to do that and then have to sleep at night, but know that you were getting a little bit closer, and then finally make it up to the high, mountains of northern Arizona near Flagstaff or the Grand Canyon, and there's pine trees and there's snow and you're way up in the elevation. And so that whole journey that I've made 1,000 times in a vehicle, because I used to drive across the state all the time, whether I was playing sports or whatever it was we were doing. I would drive from way up in northern Arizona in Grand Canyon National Park, down through Flagstaff, down through the middle of Arizona, down into Phoenix, down into Tucson, all the way down into Nogales, Bisbee, stuff like that. I just had that vision of all of it in my head when I was writing the song, and what it would be like if you had to make that journey by foot to just be with the person that you loved. And a lot of the context of the person that you love is, me trying to get back to my wife when we were apart, and I was just working my ass off trying to get back. So I think it's kind of cool to give all that information when you're talking about the song and you just listen to it, and you can see how much can go into a song in the actual process of making it that you might not even know, or you might feel some of it from the artist, but you might not have all of it. So that song was me trying to encapsulate the sound of where I grew up, the state where I grew up, the entire terrain, and what it's like to drive across the whole state where I live, and then what it's like to be separated from your family and just working as hard as you can to try to get back to them. So I hope that you guys enjoyed the song. Maybe next time you listen to it, it'll sound even more different. You'll catch a couple of the references in a different way because you kind of know where I'm coming from. And all of it was just from a street sign when I was turning in to go stay at my in-laws' house that said Sagebrush. So when I was making that beat, it just all fit together. And I found when you write music, and probably a lot of the songs that I have that I really like or that have done well, it's almost like you just zone out and you don't really, I wasn't thinking about all of this, as much as it sounds when I'm trying to explain it. It just happens and it just comes out when you're writing songs like that. So it all kind of came together just within a couple hours of time. The whole story fit together of what I was going for, and there wasn't much thought process put into it. I know a lot of songwriters feel like it just comes from another place, whether it's from up above or wherever it is, that you're kind of just get this, you zone out and you get this thing inside of you that just makes you write that song. And I absolutely had that feeling when I was writing Sagebrush. So thank you guys for listening to it. We'll go over a couple more songs that I've written or songs that I enjoy in upcoming episodes. And we'll also talk to some of the artists that are on First Drop Music about some of the songs that they've written as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Once again, this is from the First Drop Podcast. My name is Bear Cole. Thank you for checking out my song Sagebrush. That is by my hip-hop songwriting projects under Bear the Astronaut, ASRTRONOT. And so if you want to check out more, go check that out. But also check out the Grand Canyon album, because it kind of sits in that Southwest range of where I was trying to write songs that were based in hip-hop, but were more about the other influences of the Southwest where I grew up. Thank you guys so much for listening from the First Drop Podcast, and I'm out. Peace.
Thank you for listening to From the First Drop. My name is Bear Cole. If you want to learn more, just look up First Drop Music anywhere you go online. That's ST Drop DROP Music. Look it up. FirstDropMusic.com, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere you go online. We're going to bring you more about independent music, music distribution, how to be a DJ, mobile DJing, and just music in general. I hope you guys come back to listen to more. We're out. Peace.